So let me just check you can hear the audio from Logic. Let's just do a little. Can you
Yeah,
hear that?
yeah.
Cool. All right, wicked.
I can't do it. Oh, I can do stuff in Logic.
Yeah, you can
Ooh,
do anything you want.
wow. I can't add a track though. Oh, I can add a track. That's fucking crazy, man. There's no latency on my
Well,
side.
basically, you can click on whatever you want. You can
Yeah.
you can create and copy stuff. You can basically use my mouse. You can also type stuff in,
Okay.
so you can
Can you use
rename
wireless
channels and
MIDI
whatever.
though?
That's the problem. You can
Okay.
you can if I loaded up my keyboard,
Yeah.
you could then if you use your keyboard to
Yeah.
you can play notes, but what it does is
Ah, I see.
it like jitters,
Right.
so then you get like a bit of a sort of stuttery mess.
Well, I can just use the cut. What have you got in? Oh, you haven't got much in your MIDI effects. See, I like this. You see, because then I can just do that.
Oh
It's
right,
actual
okay.
gain edit up. And then I can just play like a fixed scale.
Can it play? It's not really doing much.
Yeah, they're selecting the notes. So when
Oh, okay.
when you're if I had a piano MIDI roll,
Yeah, so that's what that is. That's what that is.
yeah,
So use your keyboard and see what happens. Go up an octave maybe. Try that. No.
it's not letting me go up. Ah, strangings.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's worked.
Oh, root of G is the lowest. That
Yeah, you have to go higher than that.
Yeah, it's not letting me
That's the
change
no,
the
that's a
level.
pitch bend.
Oh, that's the pitch bend.
You need
Oh,
to
these are the octaves.
yeah, there you go.
Oh,
But then you should be able to do it on a keyboard.
well, it'll let
Can
me
you?
use the transposer. You see that in conjunction with that, so I'll be able to. I won't be able to put a note wrong, basically.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, I've got loads of like MIDI instruments that I can put in before my
How
synths.
do you do that? How did you end
Uh,
up with more? I've just got the Logic ones.
you have to like you can download them off the internet, but there's a lot. You have to look for Logic MIDI effects as like a version of a plugin, like an AU plugin or a VST3. So like there's loads that I use, like Melody Source, fucking Scalar, all sorts. There's loads of really cool ones. Scalar is something that you would fucking love, actually,
What does that do?
mate. Are you on the internet on this? Oh no,
Yeah.
yeah. Scalar 2, right? Bring it up. It's fucking ridiculous.
Is it free or what?
It's like 30 quid.
Oh, have you seen this as well? Audio thing speakers.
Yeah, I've got that in my cart with the
Mate.
springs. It's
Yeah, the springs. Oh my god, the springs are so good. I've just been looking at this and just sort of weighing up whether it's worth getting. Like, it
I
probably
think even
is.
if I think if it's got like a decent telephone EQ curve, I'm down for that because
Mate, it's got so many. It's got
yeah,
so
yeah,
many. That's the thing. Anyway, have you watched the demo video?
yeah, it's
It's
sick,
awesome. It's awesome.
sick.
What's this thing called? Hi Louis, how are you doing? Or is it Lewis? I don't know. Have you seen the chat?
Uh,
Louis
oh, look,
Dubois.
easy, Lewis. Yeah, yeah, that's my boy from Leeds.
That's my boy.
It goes under the producer name of Imagika or
Oh yeah.
I always butcher everybody's names.
Yeah.
Everybody. So
Majika was like an old jungle. I had an old jungle CD of Majika versus Nicky Black Market. That
sure that
was
wasn't Magic, J Magic.
no, it was Majika. It
Magica.
was proper. Yeah, it was weird. Right. So what's the thing called again?
Scalar 2.
Scalar to
I'm just gonna share this on.
audio unit. Plug-in
Uh,
boutique.
Plugin Boutique, yeah, they make it, I think.
40 quid.
Yep. Watch the demo video.
Where's that?
It'll be on the product specification. There's like, have I still got control of your thing?
Yeah.
Can I use, can I use scroll up and down? So, right, okay. So basically here you've got scale finder, so you can get like the full scale and then chords within that scale, and then you can use the circle of fifths on the left to find the next chord out of that scale into the next.
Okay.
It also has like articulations, like animations, like so if you're doing like a film score, all these little blocks in blue you can drag out as MIDI. It's
Damn.
phenomenal. And even
Yes.
so at the bottom you've got a pattern.
And then you can put them in blocks in patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang.
It's
I've got a similar thing on my phone that's like a little chord bot thing that
I've got
does that.
This
is next level of that, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so different.
Awesome.
You need to watch the videos really, like because here you go. Check
The thing is, if we're playing a video, it might mute the stream
Oh right, okay.
because it's like
Okay,
a
so
lot of it's all copyrighted or whatever. But yeah, I'll say that and I'll have a look at that definitely.
You need to play with that, and you get this plugin by Sonable as well, which is the multi-band transient designer.
Ooh.
And that's usually like 130 quid, I think. So it's pretty.
Man, I had a Neutron one, but then it messed up. So yeah, I need a multi-band transient guy, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, I was like, I'm not allowed to say the name of the company, but I was because like I don't really want to reveal what they're doing, but I was speaking to a company the other day, and we were talking about like music technology and stuff, and we're talking about like how we're moving into the next paradigm of like music technology, you know, like next generation of tools and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure.
So like, you know, we were talking about Waves before, and like Waves is cool and everything, like, but it's old hat now.
Oh man, yeah.
So like LA2As and all those kind of compressors and stuff, that's cool for like music like rock and indie and stuff like that. But now like you've got compressors like the Pro C2, which is so fast and clinical
Yeah.
for electronic music and sound design, that the next generation of tools that are coming out by third party developers are going to be so out there. And especially now that PlayStation 5 is introducing 3D sound, everything's going to be moving towards that 3D soundscape. So like you can listen to something like an album of binaural music, and we've got all the tools and stuff now. So maybe music's moving towards that next generation of sound. I know that club music can't be binaural because it needs to be mono for a certain instance of something like that.
The thing, yeah, I mean the thing is, the reservations that I've got with that is like, how long has 5.1 been about?
Yeah, I know, but that's on 9.1 or something now.
Well, yeah, but like no one's listening to stuff in 5.1 apart from film soundtracks. Yeah, but I mean like, how many people have got 5.1 setups at home?
Yeah.
And of those people who have got 5.1 setups at home, how many even consider listening to music in 5.1?
Exactly.
Like most of them would just be like, oh, that's for films.
It's a visual thing, yeah.
So,
Well, do you know what? Actually, Finwa Joe did a college course years ago, and I helped him with it. And he wanted like a thing doing in 5.1 where people could walk into it and close their eyes and like have the sounds of an office like going on around them. And
nice.
And it was like a total immersion kind of thing. And I helped him mix that, and that worked out really well. And I think, in games, it's really, especially now, a game like Battlefield, like, you're going to hear an enemy coming from one sort of side you can turn around or whatever, and VR and all that kind of thing.
Did I ever tell you about that cruise ship that in Miami I got flown out to sort the mix out of?
You just told me that you was unhappy about it.
Mate, it was such a mess. It was such a mess. But basically, the system they had was a 20.1 system.
Right.
Speakers all around this amphitheater, small little acoustically treated theater on a cruise ship.
Yep.
But each speaker had a microphone inside the speaker.
No way.
So, and I was like, how does that work? And he basically was like, look, if you clap and I turn everything off and you clap and it's just dead, right?
Right.
Then if I can load, this guy was like, who was in charge of the system, he could like load up instances. And basically you could be in a cathedral and it would basically take the acoustic sound and then
simulate
a room out of the... It's insane.
Mad. That is fucking crazy. So anyway, a couple of things. I want to get this off my chest before I go any further. You know you bought that UAD tilt shift EQ?
Yeah.
So you know that you've got one here.
Oh, god damn it. Well, now you tell me.
Look.
Oh, no.
And the thing is about Pro Q, yeah?
I think that's probably more like it's going to be like a... What's it? Like a... one of these. Where's it? No. Shape. Flat tilt. That's going to be what the tilt shift is. It's like that.
I don't know if you know about Pro Q, but if let's say you got like a drum loop going like yesterday, yeah? If you bring up Logic's EQ...
Quick shout out to Sim.
Sim here, is he?
Sim's here. He's
trying to steal all the secrets.
Well, no, he told me about because I was complaining about how the new Logic has got rid of a bunch of my plugins, and he told me to check the securities, and it's working fine. So thanks a lot for that.
Yep, and the new fix for the new 5.1 is just to delete Waves plugins because they're
crap.
So in your audio units, yours is not laid out. So have you not done custom folders? You know
those are the custom folders. Those are what I've done. EQs,
stock EQ.
Yeah, the Logic's, all my EQs, all my dynamics, all my distortions are all in folders, but then obviously there's the original ones there.
All right. So
now you're going to show me a tilt shift in the Logic stock.
No, I'm going to show you something completely different.
Right.
So let me just initialize this. Right. So when you're listening to music on playback with Logic EQ and Pro Q, what you'll see is that in the Logic EQ, the energy flows downwards like this, right?
What?
so let me get a loop here.
Or just drag in a tune or something. Or yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll just grab this because it's easier.
Okay.
So weird. It's like I'm using my own computer, but I'm not. Like in a...
Look, no hands.
Yeah. So this is how I gain stage, by the way. So this is what I'm talking about.
Oh, we can close that. Oh. It's the other one.
Yeah. Just get there's a tiny little bit of latency. Right. So you see here in the...
Oh yeah.
See how it's like almost at unit here.
Yeah.
Pro Q3 plugin, they've simulated a curve, a shift, a tilt shift to make everything neutral, so it's easier to read.
Right.
So when people are hacking away at the EQ, there's no need, because if you actually look here, the only real resonant frequency there would be that kind of 1500, which is on here, is that peak here.
Yeah, but the thing is, the human ear.
Yeah, the Fletcher-Munson curve.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like the logic EQ is just like it is what it is, whereas the Pro Q3 is like more has more of a like boosted tops in terms of the frequency, in terms of the analyzers, because those are the frequencies you're going to be like, oh, that's too loud or whatever, you know.
Well, yeah, this kind of works on basically a ski slope. So your lower energy here, sloping all the way down to 20,000, whereas the Pro Q, what it does is it tries to simulate all frequencies at the same volume, so you can hear. It doesn't do anything to the sound. It's just the way.
No, it's just the analyzer is. Yeah.
So that you can see it. Because if you were down here and you were like, oh shit, everything's sloping off, you'd have to be zooming in like this.
Yeah.
You'd have to have another bar where it lifts up. Now, in Logic EQ, along the side here, you've got.
Oh, you got that? Yeah.
And you can do exactly the same. So what they've done with the Pro Q is they've done that as standard to a certain level, which is like the average signal.
Right.
So
I mean, to be honest, yeah, I think in a way that just makes me trust the Pro Q3 more. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Because they've actually thought about it.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got your auto gain down here for your corrections anyway.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing that. So
this loop's annoying me, sorry.
So what I was talking about the other day was like the fashion of like spectral shaping.
Right.
And how that's becoming like
well, you mean like the sort of what's it called, that synth we're talking about, not silent, what's the synth? Serum, yeah.
So well, there's a component to that, but in terms of mixing, so you know I've done that mastering course,
right?
So plugins like Soothe and DSEQ by TB Audio, they are spectral shapers, and Gullfoss to a point, but Gullfoss isn't a spectral shaper. That's just something that makes like 300 calculations per second.
It's just a fast dynamic EQ.
Exactly.
With learning.
Well, yeah. Whereas the DSEQ and the Soothe are spectral, and also within Isotope Ozone, you've got the spectral shapers and stuff like that.
Right.
So the fashion is becoming now like to solve problems. You rely on AI, artificial intelligence, to help you get to the end point. So there's like a pro and a con with that. You've got
is that the Lander mastering stuff where you just like upload your pre-master?
Yeah, and they'll determine an average. But the thing is with the AI is that what it's going to do is it's going to give you a base and go, right, these are the resonant frequencies here. Increase that by 50% or decrease that by 50%, and then you'll find that sweet spot where it is taking out all of the resonant frequencies, but at a cost of maybe adding artifacts, lowering volume, or just generally making something sound really flat. So like TMSV was saying yesterday, when he's finding frequencies, he's finding it by ear, cutting out the main frequencies, but then leaving some of the resonances in because that's the character of the sound, whereas the AI spectral shaping will just take everything out.
Right.
So like say a flute, for instance, which has got a lot of resonant frequencies in and a lot of the breath sort of sound towards 5K, it'll take all of that out. But you don't necessarily want to take all of that out because that's the character of the sound.
Well, that's why you always have like a blend. So you it's not on or off. You know, it's kind of like how much you want it to reduce those frequencies by.
So I don't know if you've used Neutron 3. They've got a sculptor in there, and that's basically spectral shaping. So let's say you've done all of the your mix and everything like that, and you've got like all your buses laid out like a snare drum bus. You've got your final, your snare bus. You've done all your EQ and your compression, everything like that, this, that, and the other. And then right at the end, if you put this spectral shaper, they've analyzed about 1 million snares, put in this spectral shape into these into this plugin, and it'll give you the average of what your snare is missing or needs to be added, and you can increase that by 50 or minus 50 percentage, and then draw in the
so you could have a
to emit from that.
So you could have a minus spectral shape of a snare and have the opposite of what you should be having as a snare, and that might be your snare.
Yeah, because like if you go into the negative,
breaking the rules.
Yeah, exactly. So if let's say your mid range, like your standard 200 where the snare is, if you decrease that, it might boost that 200 because then it thinks, all right, okay, so we're going the other way. Let's boost the 200 so that at least we're getting the fat of the snare. And then if you go positive, it might reduce the 200 because that's what's too much in the snare.
Yeah, maybe.
And then make up for that at the 7.5K where it needs that shine, and then it might put a bit at the 10K or whatever. So it's all about like basically throwing curves at sounds to see where they fit in the mix.
Yeah.
Spectral shaping's become really cool like that, and obviously you get happy accidents where, let's say, you're trying to fit everything in a vocal into a mix, and you want to kind of, instead of using something like track spacer or sidechain compression or multiband because it's too aggressive and takes the energy out, you can use a spectral shaper to go, right, okay, this is the mid range, like 200 to 2K. I want to fit my vocal in there. You put the vocal into the spectral, and it'll dip out all of the mid range while the vocal is on seamlessly around the vocal, and then boost the vocal into the parts where it needs to fit.
I feel like you can do a similar thing with the Pro Q3. It's not exactly the same, but you can sidechain like a dynamic EQ of one channel to the EQ, the Pro Q of another channel, and then have it listen to the other channel, and when the other channel goes up, then it dips that frequency in the other one. But yeah, no, in fact, I remember there's a what was it? Yeah, was it in Neutron? Yeah, where you could have like, listen to this other channel, and then have neutrons on both, and then it would basically like carve into the EQs of each.
Well, there's one that I use, which I bought recently. I've had it for a long time, and it's the Melder Auto Dynamic EQ.
Right.
And that thing is so underrated. Like, that is probably the best EQ.
I'll have to put that up as well.
Yeah, like so if you bring it up on screen, I'll talk you through it. Auto Dynamic EQ.
Oh, Auto Dynamic, Auto.
So yeah, the chat's saying
make some dubstep
about Pro Q mode in linear.
Imagine making dubstep
on the mastering chain. Yeah, so like the Pro Q in linear phase is sick, especially when it's got the oversampling on. Like same as the Gullfoss as well with the oversampling on.
Yeah.
The new update of Gullfoss allows you for eight times, maybe 10 times oversampling, and then when you're bouncing out, like it sounds fantastic. It might not sound amazing while it's in session, but when it's very transparent. Yeah. But yeah, Pro Q3. I mean, Equilibrium as well. TB audio like stuff is wicked. So the M-Auto Dynamic EQ. Let me just scroll down. So you see these
automatic equalizations.
It's not automatic though in the sense that you think it might be. So you can basically feed in your tracks to this and do the same as you do with Pro Q. But what it'll do is when you analyze, let's say you have a vocal that you that you like the sound of from a different track, and you have a new vocal and you want it to sound like that. you feed the reference into this, analyze, and then it'll ask you to sound like or to match 100%, and it'll EQ your new vocal the same as the old vocal, like a bit like a match EQ, but it'll give you different variations because it's got a random thing here.
That would be pretty useful for like for multiple projects. You know, if you're like mixing an album or something and you want that like consistency, yeah.
Yeah.
Sim says, how do you know when you're EQing too much?
So, all right, I'll get onto that because that's part of this EQ as well.
Well, it gives you like a warning. It's like too much EQ.
I'm not even joking. I'll get onto it. One sec. So, if you have a snare drum, it'll do snare drums the same as well. If you want to know how someone's EQ'd a snare drum, for instance. Now, if you're wanting to combat frequency masking, that's where this EQ sort of shines for me, because you've got all these different bands and you feed in the reference of what you think might be, say if you've got a mid-range and a sub-bass that you want to try and separate, but you don't want to have like an overall curve like through Pro Q3, like a shelf doing multi-band or anything like that. What you do is you feed it into here, you feed the mid-range bass in after that, and what it'll do is it'll go, okay, so this is the area that I don't like, and it'll just create a band and a curve exactly to what the mid-range is doing and take it out of the sub. It's absolutely phenomenal, this thing. So let's move on to what Sim was saying. So down here you've got 2 buttons,
right,
and then underneath that you've got remove resonances. So let's say I was working on a guitar or a synth, and I was like, do you know what, there's a frequency in there that I don't like and I can't find it for the life of me, or there's multiple happening at the same time which I would like to control, but I don't want them to be like...
I generally use Soothe for that, but then I suppose Soothe is only like a certain bandwidth, really. It's like that sort of vocal bandwidth.
So what you do is you hit analyze, you play your tune, you get to the end, and you hit remove resonances. And what it'll do is it'll go bump, 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 and create loads of different bands, and it'll create a 10 dB thing at every single resonant peak that it can find. And what you do is you go through, you hit this button here, and you just solo and take out the ones that you want to keep and that you want to keep in the track. And then what you do is you can either choose to use a different EQ and match up the frequencies that it's got rid of, or you can, keep them in this EQ.
And you can adjust how much it's reducing those peaks by, right?
Yeah, you can turn them into a dynamic EQ. You can widen the Q. You can do different bell curves. You can do anything you want. But I've never known an EQ. This is literally a unique plugin where it will automatically find every single resonance, even the ones that you want to keep.
Yeah, or ones that you maybe haven't even spotted. Yeah,
exactly. And what it does is it makes the sound completely dead, and then you go through and remove the ones, and you end up with this wicked mix. And then you don't have to do all those stupid curves and everything like that. And you find is you spent 10 hours EQing a snare when it was one little band that.
I mean, I find it definitely with vocals as well. Like when you've had like. So for instance, when I was mixing the 4 Owls album, they're all recording in different studios with different they've got the same mic, but they're very different voices and they're very different rooms treated differently, and so there were different resonant frequencies in each time. And so something like this would have been perfect because I could have just slapped that on and not spent like hours doing dynamic EQing across like.
For 70 quid, it's probably saved me about 5-6 hours worth of searching around every single tune for stuff, and you just leave it on and you just go bang, done. And then what I used to do was, if I really wanted to control it, I would let it analyze and remove the frequencies, and then I would load in a Pro Q3, put the auto gain on, and then create those bands again, type in the certain instances, so it'll say like, oh, there's a resonance at 2800.65, and then you type that in Pro Q3, create an 18 dB boost just to make sure, removed that with dynamic EQ. So you're just finding
So it doesn't, but doesn't it have the dynamic EQ in this?
it does, but I personally think that the Pro Q3 sounds a little bit better than the Melder.
Right.
Melder is very, very industrial and clean and like super like I'm gonna take absolutely every single bit of oxygen out of this sound, this resonance. Whereas sometimes you need some of that. You want to have like a 6 to 9 dB cut of resonance because if you take it all out completely,
I noticed there's like an analog knob, and I'm always very
that just changes the curve.
right, because I'm usually very hesitant of anything digital that says analog, because it just like with the wave stuff. Do you remember like if you had like an analog switch on waves, it would just add a load of hiss to your mix, and then you're like, why is it doing that?
This plugin is so deep, right? Because if you go to the settings, and I mean deep as in like there's about 20 different pages of options.
Yeah, you can really go in hard.
Really, really go in. Like these are like the cream of the crop. These plugins. They have a full suite that you can download for free, and then if you want to upgrade them, it costs like 80 odd quid or something. But then these are the premium ones. This is the only one that I use at the moment. I used to use the Saturator.
But why is it like a? What's this thing that it's showing? It's like a hardware thing.
I think it's just marketing, to be honest.
Oh,
yeah.
What is that?
But if I show you this, like the bundle here, like they've got, see this here.
Oh yeah,
plugins free.
What is that going to be compatible with Catalina?
Oh yeah, it's all up to date.
Okay, what's in that then?
So you've got like slimmed down versions. This is the upgrade price if you want to get to like the presets and all that kind of stuff. So you get all these here down at the bottom.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like they're wicked. But the thing is, you don't get the auto EQ. You get the M equalizer, which is sick to get to grips with before you use the M auto dynamic EQ.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, that I honestly recommend that highly.
Right, I'll leave that open as a tab then. Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, so in terms of like this mastering course that I did, it's taken me like 6 months like to do it, like, and the thing that I've learned most about my own music is balance, and the balance that I've started making in the tracks has made me be able to achieve ridiculous levels. Like you heard those masters, like, and
yeah, it's super loud. Yeah,
they're not squashed at all.
Well, shall we load in that pre-master of Winter Foley? We can have a look at that.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you what right. How I approach it.
Let me get rid of those channels. I'll do an audio. Where's the track? Why isn't Finder opening any windows? Oh, it's having a little... Logan's in
the chat. What's up, Logan?
There we go.
What's up, Phil?
Right. Winter Foley. In fact, let me save this because I don't like moving stuff into a blank project. Mastering. Here we go. Right.
Just going to take my hoodie off.
Sure. Foley master. Okay, so we'll probably. So you've sent me the falling over master, right?
I sent you what?
The falling over master.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't do. I just did my usual thing with that.
Right.
I got that to like a stupid, ridiculous level. All right. So here, like, if we can just expand the waveform.
I tell you what. Just put the listen to. Like underneath any plugins you put in on the master.
That's fine.
So yeah.
So I just want to look at the waveform, for instance, and I'm gonna tell you how I look at the waveform to begin with. So
careful of moving that because you're then I'm next to you on the OBS. on the actual broadcast, you can see I'm like next to your screen.
Oh right,
So yeah.
because I can't see that.
Yeah.
So basically, I can't mention the company, but when I was talking to them the other day, we were talking about. I sort of brought into conversation crest factor,
Right.
and crest factor is the relationship between the transient peak and the meat of
Right.
the actual audio.
Yeah.
So if I move, can I move that a little?
Just use your shortcuts, mate. Use your old command and whatever.
That's not. It's not letting me do that anyway.
Oh, now you've gone. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Use on your keyboard. You can like go.
That's all right. It's expanding
Whatever.
now.
Alright.
Right. So you see this? You see this heavy white here,
Yeah.
right? That's what we would call the meat,
Yeah.
right?
It's like your average level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these here, these are obviously the top of the transients.
Yeah.
So to get a loud mix, you would want these closer to this because the limiter is going to hit.
Well, that's like squashing your transients then.
Exactly. But what I was talking about was soft clipping, and soft clipping doesn't solve the problem of loudness because it starts incorporating distortion, and all soft clipping would do is make everything one level rather than allowing
The up and down of the dynamics and the transients. Yeah.
so what I was talking about was the main energetic things in a mix which cause a limiter to work harder is kick and bass. So if you can balance kick and bass, then obviously you would end up with a louder master because those are what contribute to the most energy in a track and the most RMS of a track.
Yeah.
So
But you don't want to do a simple because this is the other thing with like the tilt EQ. If you took the tilt EQ and simply just went like that and pulled out all of the bass and boosted all of the tops, your limiter doesn't have to work as hard, but you lose all of those harmonics that you would have created if you had kept it flat and pushed the limiter more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So a simple trick in the analog world would be have a VU meter. Once you've done your mix, your levels, first of all, I'll do a mix without any EQ, compression or anything using gain staging. I'll do all that. I'll get my mix nice. And then I'll start dissecting problems. Once I've done the mix, I put a VU meter on the master channel. I don't know if you've got a VU meter.
Possibly. I've never used one, but have a look. It will be in like metering. Metering will be. Yeah.
Reveal dynameter maybe.
I mean dynameters. Yeah.
No, that's
that thing. Yeah.
That's is it not PRS? RPS?
RMS.
Yeah, but the measurements that they use.
Oh.
PSR.
Right.
That measurement is.
No idea what that stands for.
Yeah, it's basically dynamic, so it's not a loudness meter.
Right. No, reveal is for the Audi's thing.
All right. Yeah.
For headphones.
So there's a.
It's basically the same as Sonarworks. Essentially, it's just a headphone EQ for each thing.
That's the one. Yeah. If you can get Google up and just go to TB Audio meter, it's a VU meter. It's free.
Right. Yeah. Sim says Waves has one, but you know.
Yeah,
Waves. Screw Waves.
I need to talk to you about Waves, Sim.
Basically, I bought a bunch of Waves plugins and now none of them work, and they're trying to get me to sign up to some sort of subscription.
How you doing, bro?
Some sort of subscription service, and they won't let me. What's it called?
Okay, so it's TB Audio meter VU, and it's free.
Okay. This one, TB software, or VU meter 2, MV meter.
Should be free, yeah, it should be free.
Let's see what the VU meter.
Should be free anyway.
MV meter 2.
Yeah. I'm going to show you a really.
Download. Is it? Does it say anything about It doesn't.
Even
You
if
haven't
it's a
got.
demo, just grab it and it's like
Yeah.
it's cool. It
Okay.
used to be free. I'm pretty sure it was free when they.
Oh, download installation packages. Oh my God, what are all these?
These are just for the different plugins and then the operating system. So
So
this
what do I need? MV meter,
uh,
OS X.
company is amazing. Like their products are amazing. Trust me.
Okay.
Especially the DSEQ.
Oh, we might have to restart Logic
Yeah.
for the new plugin.
So basically, I'm gonna show you how to balance kick and bass without with taking the guesswork out of it. Basically,
Okay.
like not even using your ears by just doing it via energy.
Just
So I think,
on the basis of the 2-track of the pre-master.
yeah, I can do that. Yeah, easy. So when you're in,
Hopefully OBS is still running. Sometimes it crashes when I put passwords into stuff, but that seems to be fine. Okay.
so basically, if you think about analog desks and analog plugins like the UAD stuff, all those have a preferred input of -18 dB because they're based on the original, and the emulations of the original hardware, aren't they? So if you're using an LA76 or LA2A, their preferred inputs, as said by the people who made the actual units, is this is -18. You'll get the sweet spot. They put that in the plugins as well.
Right.
So that is part of the analog world. So when you start using that, and you like Bob Katz, for instance, in his mastering and mixing and mastering book, he developed a system called the K metering system, which is K12, K14.
No, it's not installed. What's it called? Who's it by?
It's called TB Audio. If you just go down on the left there to TB Audio.
No, there's no TB audio. Why is it not coming up?
Hold on.
It's not there.
Weird.
What's happened there? Hang on, let me try. It could be that. Wait, OS X.
Was it a package or was it just a?
It was just a download installation package and manual. But do you think it's because of the Catalina thing that it's saying?
No, because I use it, and I use it every day.
Logic Pro X. Reaper discontinued projects MV meter 1.0.8. MV meter 2. Yeah, it should have downloaded. It should be installed. MV meter 2. Let me just try that. TB audio. I mean, that's not helping.
It'll be in downloads.
Yeah, I mean, I just installed it from downloads and then trashed it because I'd installed it, but it doesn't seem to. Would it be in like a components or?
I don't know. I'd have to see the installer. It'll be in components. Yeah. So like in your library audio.
Let me just try it again. I'll just try it again. Unless that works. Oh, because it's disappeared. Right, let's try this.
Do you know where it might be? It might be the security issue.
Yeah, I think it might be. Let's try that.
A security issue. Yeah.
So continue.
Yeah.
Update. Continue. Agree.
Oh.
Yeah. HD.
Yeah.
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 Install.
Just go to your system preferences and open the padlock so that keep. Yep.
Yeah, and then system preferences.
Security.
But it should come up, but it's not there.
Open.
There wasn't a problem installing it. That's the problem. That's what I mean.
No, what it is the issue is Logic recognizing it. So
do I need to scan it or something?
Just bring your system preferences back up, unclick the padlock, then when Logic loads, it'll know that it can open that again.
Right. So quit Logic.
Yeah.
Then
Quits out completely.
yeah, and then open the padlock.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mess around.
God, long out.
Let's see who's in the chat. Yeah, Sam, big up Karnak, big up Logan, big up Phil, big up Sim. Yeah, we don't use waves around here. Thumb.
So it didn't even scan a new thing.
Yeah, because you might have to go into Logic and then get the preferences. So open the padlock. Hold on, you have to open the padlock first.
But I'd already had it open when I opened Logic.
So now
let's go to the plugin manager. I'll type in meter. It's not there, man.
How strange. What's the TT dynamic range meter? Is that got a VU?
Brain what works and it's crash validation.
Let's just see. UAD. Actually, do you know what? Well, have you got the oxide tape?
Probably not. Let's have a look.
Because that's got a VU meter. I can just use that at Unity.
Oxide tape.
That's set to -18.
I don't think I have it. No.
It's fine. Start a demo. No, start demo. It's fine. Right. So. Okay. Whatever.
Right.
So let's have a little loop around here. So what I'm aiming for, yeah. So let's say you see this this VU meter across the bottom.
Yeah.
On a normal VU meter, you would be looking to calibrate the VU meter at -18, right? Now you want each individual kick or bass to hit -3 on here, so that when you solo them both together, they both hit unity. And that's the way that you find out where you got.
Because they will be plus 6 dB together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is on your master, like -6 or whatever. So you see how you're over.
Yeah. I mean, sure, you just change the input, right?
You change the input, but then what happens when you change the input is that your mid-range to high frequencies are also lower. So what I would do here is
isn't the tape affecting that?
No, because there's nothing. You're going through it, but you're not increasing the input or anything yet. You're not increasing the output. There'll be a certain amount of color to it.
Okay.
It says like, what is it, -3, so it's like 2 dB difference. It's nothing.
Yeah.
What have you got in terms of? You really need the VU meter, but I mean, that's the way you do that.
I'm pretty sure a lot of UAD plugins have got a VU meter in them.
Yeah, but that you can't recalibrate them. That's the problem. That's why we need the other one, the other VU meter.
Right.
What have you got here? Is all your isotope stuff work?
No.
Right.
No, that's a delay. Meter tap is a delay.
I'm gonna look down the list.
A lot of this stuff worked at one point, and then I installed something else, and then it stopped working.
Right, here we go. No, that I can basically go through this. Right, so on the version of 9, Ozone 9, you've got something called rebalance.
Right.
So let's say you get a pre-master and the drums are too low in the mix, or the bass is too high in the mix, or the hi-hats, whatever.
Yeah.
What it'll let you do is split up the instruments within the track, and it'll allow you to rebalance the drums.
Mad.
Pre-master.
Absolutely mad.
And this is what I'm talking about with spectral shit, because I think the way that they're doing the rebalancing is separating each individual stem by spectral EQ.
That's nuts.
So right now there's an application called, I think it's track stems or stem tracks, and you can load any song in the world into it,
And it'll spit out stems
spit
for you.
out. Yeah,
As if.
yeah,
As if.
yeah. Similar to how the R.
I mean, I bet it's not 100% foolproof. I bet you get a lot of artifacts.
It's 80% there.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah, it's 80% there.
Nuts.
If it's a complex track, then you know obviously. But if it's like, let's say you want to do a remix of a reggae track, and it just separates it bass, drum, vocal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it'll put the organs and the guitars and the chops into the vocal stem, so you can
Right.
them out, right? So
Right.
it's separating everything by spectral, with the frequencies and stuff like that. You have to pay for that one though. It's like a subscription thing, but it's
Okay.
really wicked. So on here you've got elements, haven't you? So it's not.
Yeah, it's not the full thing.
That's crazy. I was going to show you the drum rebalance. That's a shame. You need to up your plugin game, Dom.
Soz, mate. I think I've got enough.
This is nothing. You should literally see my computer. It's like,
Yeah.
mind you, I do get sent a lot of stuff, so that's why I wouldn't be able to buy it all. So basically, with this master, if we bring up EQ, Pro Q.
Mate, just go EQ, digital EQ, Pro Q3.
I see, you've got it all.
So basically, yeah, I've anything that's a smart EQ, so like Goldfoss or Soothe or anything like that will go into smart EQs, and then I'll have like vintage EQs, which is all my like Pultecs and whatever else.
So what I'm gonna do, is this is what I've been doing recently. So I've been getting 2 bands. Oh, latency. Come on. That's it.
You know the Tone Lux Tilt has a brick wall filter on it as well.
Yeah, but I'm gonna remove this afterwards.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant it was just for like getting rid of like extraneous frequencies.
No. So
Okay.
so this curve here, right? This block that we've created.
Yeah.
That's your ear, right?
Okay.
So
Are you telling me I can't hear bass, Brad?
when you listen to any kind of music, you're gonna hear this region over anything. You're gonna hear that. You like the higher frequencies, they're gonna hit you first below.
Yeah, but that's the main portion of it. Yeah.
Over time, all the information that makes a song interesting is gonna be in this area.
Okay.
So I load this onto the master, and if you press play, some reason.
Well, you can just press the space bar and it should work.
I've been disconnected from audio movers, so let me just reconnect.
Oh, it's logged me out. Hang on. Let me log in again.
Yeah.
Right, and then is that coming in through your old link, or should I send you a new link?
Yeah, it's cool. It's coming.
Okay.
So, if you see what I mean by you're still getting that 5k to 100, and actually it sounds like they're the frequencies that you actually listen to, like when you're in a song. If you remove that, it's just that extra bands above and below that like reinforce that mid-range band. So what I'd be doing is I'd be looking in this band for problems before either the top or the bottom.
So you're not distracted. Yeah, that's kind of, because that is basically the band. Like when I'm at the studio, I've got the what's it called, the mix cube. Do you want to like drag the dynamic bit down and then flatten it again?
No, it's cool because that just does the same anyway. It does like a little.
Well, as in, so then you can leave it flat, but then just pull the. Whoa! It's gone weird. Why is it?
That's because I'm trying to control it as well.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
But then you can also, that's doing it automatically, but you can also do it by like threshold.
Yep. So what I find is that with a lot of the stuff that people send me for mastering, whether it be dubstep, house music, even cinematic stuff, is that everybody really lacks attention in the 800 range, that really honky range.
Oh yeah, totally.
So people tend to boost that 2K range up to 5 where the percussion is to cover the 800. Now, a lot of the times, like with vocals,
because no one's got any chords.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah,
It's like, oh, you've got drums and bass. Where's all your music?
if you think about instruments that have a lot of honk, like snares can have live snares.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Honk, like even live hi-hats can go down as low as like 300 because they're picking up the actual the strike of the stick or whatever.
Yeah.
Like vocals like 800, awful, everything. And then what you'll find is that if something's at 800, that an octave below, like or half that again at 400, you'll find the same boxy frequency. At 200, you'll find
that's loads of resonance. If you've got like a Rhodes or something like that, that's super resonant around 200. Yeah.
So what I was teaching people to do was, and this is a tip I picked up from someone. Because waves ain't working, it's not even worth going into. But Logic pitch shifter ain't it good enough. So I think I've said this one to Sim as well before. Like if he's struggling to EQ his hi-hats, what you do is you put a pitch shifter on your hi-hat bus.
We talked about this before. Yeah, like pitching it down an octave, getting that frequency, then doubling the frequency. Yeah,
taking it back up. So it's all mathematics. What you're doing here with this is exactly the same. But what all you're doing is you're concentrating between 5K and 100 hertz. So if there's something at 800, it's going to be at 400 as well.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Because they're your stages. So once I get this area cleaned up, and then I take these bands off, I find that everything's just about 20% clearer.
Right.
And obviously, because I'm listening back on the A77s and the A7s and the mono cube, it's like that whole range of like 100 to 5K is so aggressive on the Adams and the mono cube that it's just like you need to really engineer that part, especially before the rest, because the sub you can't hear on a phone. The really super high frequencies you can't really hear on a playback speaker. So what you're really getting is the 100 to 5K area.
Yeah,
like almost
any speaker in the world will at least replicate that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even if you've got like a Bose, like a speaker in your kitchen or something like a lesser brand, it'll still come through and it'll be absolutely clear as day.
Yeah, nice.
So I spend time doing that. Now the VU thing comes in more or less in the mix down, so it's hard to do it with the master, but you can do it as long as you have the VU meter and you have either a dynamic EQ or a low shelf. You can attenuate the low shelf with the auto gain on here.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And what that'll do is I'll keep everything else constant, including the kick and bass, so that you can achieve the 0 on the VU meter.
Right. Okay.
And then what you find is when you're attenuating the kick and the bass, you're getting more RMS. You're getting.
So what if we were to use like, say like a span or something? Would that not
crest factor? That's got crest factor here, but that's like for dynamics really.
Oh.
But I don't think Span's got a VU meter that you can adjust.
No.
It's just Spectrum. But yeah, you need a VU meter really. -18 calibration.
Hang on, isn't the you can have channel strip components
Oh, Logic's got a VU.
Logic's got one. Where is it?
It's on there. If you press X and bring up the channels, it's on the channel dis. Oh, it's on in here somewhere, I think.
Create new VCA. No. Channel strip components. VCA. Voltage control. Is that it? No.
No, I don't think so.
Let's just check that. What is that? No, that's grouping.
That's for when you're doing
That's
the
grouping.
faders, when you
You can group stuff together. They used to have a VU meter, I thought.
Yeah, Karnak, tonal balance is exactly what I'm getting at in terms of the crest factor on the left hand side. So using a reference track, getting your mix right to a point where the white lines in the middle and 50%, and then using the VU meter to do that balance beforehand. It's all mathematics. It all adds up, and 9 times out of 10, it all hits on the perfect level. So what I'm talking about is with like trap and stuff like that. When people are soft clipping the kicks to get them loud in the mix, they don't need to. What they really need to do is turn everything else down, rather than be peaking. An 808 has a transient and loads of pitch energy, which causes a transient. So if you're soft clipping your kick, your kick is going to sound nice on top of the 808, but it's not going to have any dynamics. So the transient shaper comes out, the limiter comes out, and you still you're trying to get that pop, when all you need to do really is lower the 808, have the kick and level like to begin with the VU meter on the master channel, then start processing. And when you start processing, if you're losing dBs, you just turn it up, and if you're gaining, you just turn it down. So you're adding character. And that's where people get confused when they're mixing, is that when they're adding distortion, there's a massive volume drop, but it's perceived louder. That's exactly what we want from audio. That's how we end up with a really nice loud master that still punches, because the RMS, the root mean squared, like that's what people have been metering all this time. And what it is it's really unreliable, because it's the actual readout is like 300 milliseconds standard in Logic, I think. And you need a meter that can adjust to like a 50 milliseconds where it's reading so fast. So I got to a point where I was like, you know what, bun that. I need something that's going to be a little bit more average throughout the whole track, so that when I listen to the chorus, the loudest part of my track, I'm going to get a good reading of where I am in terms of loudness units. And that's why the LUFS is so important for me, because of Spotify and streaming and SoundCloud and mobile phones and stuff. So when I do my mix down, I'm doing the mix, getting the levels that I want, and 9 times out of 10, my pre-master will be like -12, -9 maximum. I don't even get to that -6 territory, even with like parallel processing. And I find that when I put the ozone on there, or whatever I'm using, Pro L2, after I've got all my mix and the balance right, this is with no compression, no EQ, I'm hitting -8 LUFS, and there's no the limiter isn't even touching it hardly. The dynamics are still there, everything. I don't know if you've kept any of those masters that I did, Dom, which from before we could load.
I don't remember.
So the way that I get to that loudness is,
let me see,
is this. And I'm gonna give away a secret tip here, and this is gonna.
Well, you're gonna do this on here, on this track?
I can do, yeah.
Might as well. So
all I need to move that down. Logic multimeter. Meter in.
Top.
There we go.
I got rid of the multimeter actually. It'll be in Logic. Go down to Logic.
I mean, it's not
metering
reliable, but it'll serve for this purpose.
There you go, multimeter. That's the loudest meter.
Yeah, this is what we.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. So let's say, have you got Fab Filter?
Yeah.
Pro L2, cool. All right, cool. So let's say we're doing a club ready master, and we have to do this like quickly. We're going to a gig and we want a conservative level that's going to compete with everybody else, and it sounds great, but we don't want to squash it to shit where it's got no dynamics. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those bands off that we created, keep that little notch that we did, because that was
that was.
So let's have a look. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that to a level where I'm going to where I want to be.
You're going to have oversampling on, or
not just yet.
Jeez.
Yeah. See, I'm doing that based on my mixes, so.
Thought you were going to like bring it up gradually.
Well, this is the whole point. You're aiming for where you want to be, right? See, for me, that's far too loud still.
Still too loud. I usually end up going like +4 or 5, but I'll have a series of like compressors and limiters. So like, I'll have like the the manly very moo, and then like mid side, followed by multi-band, followed by, and then the L2 right at the end. Just doing that like extra couple of dB.
Logic. Bring that one up as well. Just want to see what the bass is doing.
So what you're bringing it up until the other levels are matching.
I'm bringing it up to where I want it in terms of loudness units, right? And
right. What are you aiming for in terms of loudness units?
For this track, 10.
Right.
Because that's pretty conservative in terms of dubstep. Like I've had stuff for like -7, 6, 5. It's just far too loud. Like
yeah. Well, like the sort of EDM stuff.
And what I'm looking for, so there we've hit 10. So on the mix down, we're hitting this -5 to 10 here. Like that's where I would want the peak of my sub bass being, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Now, so we're hitting. We're hitting 10, and you see on the right hand side we've got 9.4 RMS. Now what we need to do is we need to increase that RMS volume without going louder, in if you see what I mean.
Right.
What I'm going to do is watch this.
Oh, I've got the what's the Oxford thingy? Inflator.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk to you about. So that's the secret in it, really. It's basically the secret, the inflator. Not on individual tracks. I mean, you can use it on individual tracks, but where is it? It's
there. Oxford inflator.
Bang. I
mean, it's in my mastering folder as well.
Right. Okay.
Do you do band split?
This is what I'm getting into. So
okay.
Band split preserves low end. If you don't use the band split, you can cause distortion, which means you have to lower the output. Now, what I usually do is I don't drive the input. I don't.
No, of course.
The output. I just whack the effect up 100%.
Oh.
Bands.
Right.
And I leave the curve. Right?
Okay.
However, if the pre-master peaks with that, then I will lower the output.
So you just go fully 100% on the effect?
Yep, 100%.
Right. I usually kind of gradually bring both the sort of curve and the effect up. I usually end up with about 20 to 30% effect and about 20% curve.
Well, the curve, the more you push it towards the top, the brighter the outcome will be. The more you push it down to the bottom, the duller it'll be. It concentrates on different bands of frequencies.
So I thought it was to do with like how much it's grabbing the like, how much of a sort of slope is on the amount it's inflating. So rather than having like, how you have like an expander, if the expander is like a
Processing characteristics of sonic effect of the inflator settings between 0 and 50 increase fatness to the volume and volume enhancement. Despite rendering the signal significantly louder, the impression of considerable dynamic range is retained. Signals being blah, 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 produce most subtle changes of the sound. Overall, enhancement is minimal, harmonic, richer, warm.
So that makes it more subtle, whereas what I was doing less effect, but making it more obvious.
Exactly. So, but when you're going into a limiter is going to make your master brighter anyway, because it's going to level the low end and the top.
True.
Bring them. So what you need to do is just have the effect on to start with.
Right.
Then
bring on Then bring on the limiter.
Yeah, but while maintaining the loudness that you want to get to. So if I go to this now, if I just take the inflator off. I mean, you can already hear that that's... I'm just going to reduce that by 2 just so...
So it's more like what it was before, yeah.
Yeah. Because then I can hear it AB, and you see... You feel that? You feel the mids come up?
Yeah, and the width, it gets wider as well.
Yeah. So now, when I put the... Because I'm matching the loudness... Like, it's not any louder than it was before in terms of,
Of course.
like, the perceived loudness is there. Now, you watch what happens to the multimeter once I put the limiter back on. Look at the RMS.
Down to 8. No. Yeah, 8.2 now.
Okay. If I take the Oxford off.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's brought a lot of those sort of like 250 to 2K. All of that sort of mid band has come up a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what you can do is, because you've set the limiter, you can back off the limiter to your original RMS and LUFS settings you were going for, which means that when you send it to someone, they go, "How the hell did you get it that loud? And why is the limiter not touching it?" Because we're only at like minus what? 4. So if I back off that down, if I take this to like 6.9, 3 dB of gain reduction. So I've just saved myself a load of smashing it into the limiter to get loudness, and it's actually got the dynamics back. So basically, like the other, if I had I might have to stream from my computer at some point, but there's a couple of other tricks to do with what Karnak was talking about in terms of the tonal balance control.
So would you put the inflator that early in the chain?
I'd put it before the limiter, always.
Yeah, before the limiter, but would you put it like, so for instance, if I was to do a mastering chain, one of the things I'd probably do first is like something like the Goldfoss or the Tilt EQ.
Yeah.
If it was bad, then I'd need the Tilt EQ. But generally, if it's just a little bit, I'd probably go do the... Oh, what have I done here? I'm moving the wrong thing. Yeah, so if I went to the Goldfoss and dialed that in, then I'd probably put like maybe...
Yeah, I wouldn't have it. I'd bounce the pre-master. I treat the Goldfoss as a mixed component on the master, so I would bounce the pre-master with the
Goldfoss on.
With the Goldfoss on in high resolution,
Right. How do you change the resolution in this?
So if you go to the actual, click on the Goldfoss sign.
1.4. Is there a more
Hold
recent
on.
one?
Yeah, I think there's a whole new one because you can change the resolution settings.
I'm pretty sure I downloaded the recent one. Maybe I didn't install it. Golfos.
I think
Is
it's
it
like,
two L's or one L? Oh, it's two L's.
so because what you want your mix only needed to be brought up to Unity. You don't want to be doing any other processing. Once you want to get your pre-master and go, right, this is
Damn.
pre-master.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. There's nothing else needs doing apart from some
Right.
additional soft clipping for mastering or whatever needs.
I need to log in. Cancel. Remember me.
Hello,
Hello. Where?
Darren. Yeah, Sim, I told you off for using it on individual tracks though, because if you think about it, if you're using it, it might be
6.3.
cool to use on a kick and a bass, but if you're using it on like a snare and you're basically ramping up the whole mix to go into the inflator at the end. So what I'm aiming for is to get a nice tonal balance for the whole mix, regardless of what engineer's done it. So when I send stuff to say Bo, for instance, I think he might use the Weiss DSQ or whatever it is, and that's like a really nice limiter with a de-esser and everything else. It's like thousands of pounds of equipment, and then he'll have his own EQ techniques and stuff. But that comes back to me, and it's like really nice to hear his approach to the track that I've wrote, and then it takes all the worry away from me, because then I like it or I don't. When I'm mastering my own stuff, I'll spend literally hours on it, and then I might scrap it and then come back and do a fresh one.
Yeah.
It's really subjective like that. It's so much easier to work on other people's stuff because you're not attached to it.
Yeah.
Now
That said, if you're mixing something that's an absolute mess, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Because then if you're mixing it and then mastering that, like, you can only get your mix so good because they've used some awful samples or whatever. Whereas if you're mixing your own stuff and mastering your own stuff, you know that you've got it as good as you can, and you can rely on your mix at least. But yeah, like, compare it to sending it to Bo, like, it's not going to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I sent Bo a master for the Flowdan thing that I did, and it came back nearly exactly the same.
Well, that's good.
Because he'd listened to it and he'd gone, right, okay, so delivered a flat mix. He's not going to hype the low end. He's not going to hype this. I think he trusts me where I want to be, like on the EQ and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, like in terms of modern technology and some things that I've been getting into recently, like these plugins that are like from it's like EQs with curves for boosting, like presets and stuff like that. They're just never gonna work. Like, they're just never ever gonna work.
Yeah.
The whole approach to a mix is like, and I'm sure like Noisia would pull me apart, like Icicle would pull me apart, or it'd be a debate and everybody's got their own way of working.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, this is the new update. Sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so the way I would approach it is, I see it like an ice sculpture. You start off with a block of ice, and every bit that you take off you can't put back on, so it has to be right when you're taking it off, and then when you're left with an ice sculpture. Whereas some people approach it as like an ice sculpture where you can put bits back on by boosting frequencies. And yes, okay, sometimes you have to boost things that have been recorded or whatever like that to hear the clarity of the signal. But in the electronic music world, if you're using samples, 9 times out of 10, that sample is like limited,
compressed to within an inch of its life. Yeah,
all you need to do is gain stage, throw it in a mix,
yeah,
and EQ it to some point level. But when you're mixing proper music, like that you've recorded,
live instruments, bands, etc., you
spend hours just carving and carving and carving, and that's where the loudness comes from at the end. So say you have to filter something that's got loads of high, frequencies in that you don't want a field recording. Filter it down, because all you're going to do at the end of the day on the master channel is create a really nice big curve, steep slope from like 32,000 hertz, 20,000 hertz down to 8K, like a shelf filter. And you're going to bring all of the brightness up for the track, not just that individual element. Because if you do it to every single element in the mix, you're going to be playing this game of catch up of every single channel, and you're going to be doing 2 dB boost here, 2 dB boost there, and you're adding volume to the track and also trying to fight over other loud frequencies in the mix. So at the end of the day, rather than boost individual channels, try and do it on the buses, try and do it on the master to bring that clarity out. Your clarity bands are like 5K and upwards, 12K being a really nice one for vocals, 7K being nice for, snares or whatever.
But that's another thing about busing and having compressors on buses.
Yeah.
To group things together so that you could have, one part of your track has like one guitar, another part of your track has 10 guitars, but the guitar part of the mix sits nicely and doesn't like suddenly massively elevate in volume because you've grouped it all onto a bus.
It's just glue.
It's glue. That's it.
So my approach to compression is that compression should only really be used after EQ, because if you're using a compressor before an EQ, you're exaggerating the problem, which means your cut's going to be twice as much.
Unless you are then bringing something back that a compressor has got rid of.
Exactly. Then you would use the dynamic EQ.
So I love using so on my vocal chain, I love using like a 1176 Blue Stripe compressor.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by a Pultec for that 16K little bit of air at the end.
Yeah.
And I find that if I dial that in before the compressor sort of pulls it down a bit, and you don't get that like real sheen anymore. But if you put the EQ after, then it's a bit of sheen. But
well, yeah, I mean the Pultec is like so underrated just because for the attenuation bands.
Yeah.
That higher, like you can create a stupidly ridiculous curve by boosting the 20K maximum and then attenuating, and it's like what you're doing is you're creating that good old smiley face. And that is like you were talking about yesterday, that the loudness curve is the smiley face.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's what this does in the Goldfoss. This boost, it creates a smiley face.
And that's what I'm getting at with that 100 hertz cut and 5K cut. That's where the smile is. So if that area is in check,
then everything else should be fine.
Fine. Yeah.
Kaizen has said he struggles to hear the difference Goldfoss makes.
So that's just AB then. So the way that you've probably got this as well, Dom, is the way I do it is I do it in 10% increments.
Yeah.
And I use the bypass every...
Well, I rarely... If it's my own mix, I rarely go above 15% either way.
Yeah, I'm 16 or 12, like every...
Right, yeah.
On the recovery and tame, like literally every mix. I never touch the bias, I never touch the boost or the brighten. It's only thing I will do is if I'm doing like a tame on an individual instrument in the mix and it's like a ringy like vocal or something or a violin or something, you will have to affect the
gain. Right, yeah.
So the way that I would do it is I would do like 10 bypass for a few seconds, let your ears reset, put it on, and then you'll hear what it's doing.
Yeah.
The most important thing is these bands. Because
well, you can do the same thing again with the 100 and the 5K,
Yep, and then you see what's getting dipped, and if you don't want the Gullfoss to do it, you get a Pro Q3 out and you go find that frequency because you can highlight it. Now in this update,
it's got all the different
offline best, real time. You got 60 hertz, 30 hertz for the screen resolution and all the rest of it. But this offline best setting. I think I saw that it was 8 times oversample.
Sick.
and it sounds amazing.
And one of the other things is, even if you can't tell what it's doing or can't hear what it's doing, it might not be noticeable to you, but what it will be noticeable to is the compressor or the limiter that you put after it, because it's
not working as hard.
Yeah, it's allowing that more you can gain into the compressor more because it's pulling some of these peaks down as it's going along. Also, Sim's asking about what the smiley face is. So an easy way of explaining that, I can do that with the Tonelux tilt, right?
Or you can do it with the
so
you know what I really like for it, the Pro MB.
Oh yeah.
You can do multiband, and you can just bring it into the middle and just do
and just scoop everything in the middle.
But
essentially this thing, so the Tonelux tilt is like what we were looking at here with how I think it was Ryan. What was it? You like changed this? No, what did you change? You changed this into a flat tilt. So you can sort of tilt, on an axis. So you move this to like say the middle about 500, and then you can like either have a brighter or a duller mix, without changing any of that. So that's what the Tonelux tilt is doing. But then you've also got, when you when you sort of take off the shape, it becomes loud, and you can see this. It goes from being you see the red line being sort of high, boosting the highs, dipping the lows, or the blue line dipping the highs and boosting the lows. With the loudness version, you're boosting the highs and the lows, but keeping the mids in the middle, and that's the smile. That's basically like if you have like a Sony Hi-Fi and it has a loudness button on it, you press the loudness button, it's basically just boosting the very top and very bottom frequencies so that you have a louder sounding track, but it's not necessarily it's perceived loud. Exactly. So if we were to play it with this, like if I put that tilt up, obviously that's distorting now, but like, whereas if I put it the other way, that
the focus becomes into a certain part of the track, which is the sound stage for the whole mix. But the important thing with the Pro Q3 is it's got an auto gain control. So if you're doing that with the Pro Q3, it will keep the volume that is going into the plugin.
Yeah.
Coming out. So that's why I prefer the Pro Q3.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Looks does sound a lot better. So it's a toss up really between.
Well, the addition with the Tonelux is it's got a filter top and bottom, which you can put in. Which, I mean, I preferred to use the Manly one because it has a 50K.
Yeah.
What is it?
I mean,
massive passive.
The Mag EQ, the MAAG one, the airband on that, or whatever, the airband, is like, I think it's 40K, and that is a beautiful sounding EQ, and I only use it for that airband.
Right. I mean, this can go up to 27K.
This does exactly the same.
But you can have it as a shelf, and it will go all the way up to 52K as a high cut, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like that airband, like what's that, 39K? I mean, it's just like, if you, let's say for instance,
it's just like unperceivable. It's like the dog frequency.
I'm just trying to figure out how you would kind of replicate that on the Manly. So you'd boost everything at 50K up, and then you would attenuate at like 20, wouldn't you, so that it's not on a gradual slope upwards. It does actually come back down at some point. That's what I would probably do on that one. But for mastering, it's such a process of eliminating problems before you get to the final limiter. Like, I see everything as like a lot of like training and preparation to get to the finish line, which is the limiter, because the limiter will introduce lots of brightness and it will distort the bass. So it's the VU meter strategy is something to really check out. Get that free meter thing for sure. Tonal balance control, crest factor, all contribute to the final thing. But the really, really important thing is do your mix first and gain stage it, and do the mix without any EQ or compression or reverbs or anything, and get the mix how you want it, because then you can identify the problems rather than identifying the problems
after it's too late. Yeah.
To the mix when you've got loads of processing, because then you're gonna have to take it all off and
Yeah.
do it all.
Yeah.
So, get the mix first. Boom. The other thing about that VU meter is it's really handy for gain staging on the way in as well. So -18, 0 dB, make sure your kick and your bass are hitting 0 dB on the way in, because then when you go to the master channel, you're aiming at -3, so you've got the most, like, the optimal input for all of the plugins on the actual plugin chain, 0 dB, -18, and every time you're making a cut or a boost and the volume is going up or down in each plugin, you're turning it up or down to maintain that signal path all the way to the end, so that when you send it to the bus, you're not moving channels and faders up and down like loads. Because if you go back to the Logic faders, it's probably the same in a lot of different DAWs, but it starts at 0, goes down 3, 6, and then you'll find it towards the bottom of the fader, it's actually the tiniest little movement is actually moving like 6 or 7 dB.
Yeah, you can have exponential, you can change it here.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. When people are going, oh, have your kick hitting at 10 and have your bass hitting at 9, it's like, that means absolutely nothing if you're distorting the plugin.
Yeah, exactly.
The first plugin on your channel, because you're getting artifacts straight into your sub.
Yeah.
And every time, and if the compressor that you're using is using a soft clipper, you're never going to know about that volume difference because it's getting soft clipped on the way out. So, all those things to consider, really. And it doesn't matter if your pre-master's at -10 or 9. If the mix is good, I would rather have a good mix at -10 or 11 dB, because I'd be like, let's get this stupidly loud, like rather than at 6 dB every single time and then having to soft clip it because the transients are jumping out everywhere. It's that's the way that I work anyway. It's not going to be the same. Everybody's going to disagree. Everybody's going to.
So you can change your levels meter scale. I was looking for this while you were talking about it. So you can have like linear dB, or you can have exponential. So as the louder it gets, the more detail between. So like if we were doing linear, you just end up with like, there's very little way of telling. Once it gets fairly loud, there's very little way of telling from the meter here how loud it is, because it's linear. Whereas if you go to like exponential, you can see as I'm talking, there's like a lot more distance between sort of peaking and values. Between the values. It's once you get to a certain level, it's much easier to balance.
So in terms of like the gain staging, I know this might be like really like basic stuff for like some people in the chat or whatever, but let's say you wanted to compress a kick drum and you didn't gain stage it, and you were using like a sample pack kick, and you'd left the fader at 0, that kick is already hitting like unity. So when you're feeding that into the compressor's working loads, and if that compressor's got any character inbuilt into it, like code or whatever, it's going to apply the maximum amount of character when you're bringing the slider down. So you'll get like 3 dB gain reduction, but you'll have maximum character from the compressor. Whereas if you gain stage and give the plugin the optimal input level of whatever the manufacturer says, if it's UAD -18, I don't know what it is for FabFilter, maybe it is -18. it's going to increment that character over time. So that punch or that transparency, that vocal, if it's an SSL emulation or whatever, it's going to increment that over time, which means that your compression, you're going to have much more space to move on the dial, and you're going to see actual realistic values of gain reduction rather than using a slammed sample at 0, doing the compression, then you're altering the fader level on the channel, because all you're doing then is altering whatever bus you send it to, you're altering the signal level there. So if you're leaving your fader at 0, and then you're outputting the bus, you know that you can make these little adjustments here, and you're feeding -18 to the bus, if you see what I mean. So you're maintaining a signal path and level all the way through to the master channel. That sound is always going to be exactly the same.
Kaizen says, how do you know the preference for individual plugins?
You can research them. Like, they're in the manuals a lot of the time. And if not, someone's found it and shared it online.
But as a sort of as a general rule, would you say essentially just the mere fact of pulling your initial gain down at least -6, making because when you drag in a bunch of EDM samples from a sample pack, they'll all be completely normalized at 0, so you're going to have to pull them down if you don't want distortion essentially as soon as you start putting plugins on.
What I would say is that the gain staging with the VU meter is more important for the high energy items in the lower end of the spectrum than it is for the higher end, because a hi-hat at the same level as a kick drum will not even touch a VU meter.
Right, yeah. Or at the right level, yeah.
Yeah, no, at the same level.
Oh, really?
Your kick was at -10 and your hat was at -10. They're both going to be the same volume, but the hi-hat's going to sound super ridiculously loud and the kick is going to sound
normal,
in comparison. But on a VU meter, the kick is going to be at 0 or over, and the hi-hat's not even going to be flicking.
Yeah.
So that comes down to energy. So the cycles, the energy, the low end energy, which the hi-hat doesn't have. And so in that instance, you can kind of visualize how an EQ works, because the kick is up here and then the hi-hat is down here. So it's the same with a VU meter. Kicks all the way up here and the hi-hat isn't even touching, even though they're at the same level.
Yeah.
So when you do that and you tilt them, the kick is going to be higher than the hi-hat, because this has got more piercing energy towards the high end of the spectrum that your ear locks onto first, and then your kick drum is high headspace taking, headroom taking up energy at the bottom, which needs to be like the actual base of the actual rhythmic element.
And also, the higher up the spectrum you go, the closer together frequencies are grouped.
Exactly.
So you get all that bunching, whereas in the lower end there's a lot more space to have volume and a lot more sort of. I don't. So
can you just bring up the browser?
Yeah.
And I'll type something in. I'll just see if I can find.
This is the Audio Anorax. This is the free Smile EQ that someone put in the chat.
This is Streaky. I think this is Streaky stuff. He does a mastering course as well.
Yeah.
I think it's Streaky anyway.
Yeah, it says by Streaky. Audio Anorax by Streaky. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got some good tips and stuff. He's really passionate about music.
Just leave that open there.
He does a course as well. I'm not sure how good it is, but because I've not looked into it. So let's have a look. So plugin input levels UAD -18. So let's try and find something. Let's see if there's anything.
Do plugins have a loudness sweet spot? Meter plugs.
There you go. Can you make your plugin sound better by adjusting your audio's levels? Does it make a difference if your audio is at -23? Boom. Analog limitations. Let's see. There you go. Look. So it's on about the float, 16-bit analog modeling.
-16 LUFS.
Yeah. So minus 16 LUFS. LUFS is very, very similar to the DBS full scale, so that gain boost before your plugin or hardware so that your levels exceed 0 dB full scale. 0 dB full scale is the ceiling in Logic on the channel, isn't it? So
it also says don't get carried away finding the perfect level to feed your plugins with.
yeah, just don't be like 0.1 of a decibel, or as long as you're not going over, it doesn't really matter. I just use the VU meter calibrated at minus 18 because the minus 18 is the analog hardware. There you go. This guy's saying, I've already been using plugins so that they reach a certain range on their meters. Perhaps that's because I kind of think analog and I'm not particularly of that generation or ever worked really with it. But I have grown up with analog stuff in the box, wasn't common. So I've learned a lot from people who often talk in terms of analog hardware. Besides that, indeed, a good number of the plugins I use are modeled after analog hardware, so they do respond as such.
Yeah.
So use the meters and try to hit roughly 0. 0 in the emulation isn't 0 in Logic, it's minus 18, if you see what I mean. So
yeah,
drum at 0 would be minus 18 dBs full scale because you've calibrated the VU meter down to minus 18. So you're changing the ceiling of 0 to minus 18. So 0 is insignificant, it's just minus 18. It might as well be called minus 18. So this is it. So Bobcat's case system is very similar, and that's what I've been using. Idea of metering with an analog VU meter rather than a digital peak program meter. Yeah, so this is basically what I've just been talking about. That these guys are obviously using the same kind of system, and I guarantee it. You'll have the clearest mixes, loud, punchy. Okay, they're not going to be like dubstep. Smash, smash, smash! Like I want to rip your ears out on while a bar at the front of the stage doing this. Like,
yeah.
Like I want to go home and have ringing ears and go, yo, dude, that was like the best gig.
I collected so many more bracelets.
Empty, and you put some all the Nos canisters.
You've got all your like plastic beads on.
So what you're actually going to do is you're going to be able to present your music and it be comparable with everything else that's out there.
Yeah.
And if you need to do different masters for different situations, you will be able to do it. So
on that note, mate, I think I'm pretty hungry. Yeah. And it's Fish and Chip Friday, so
I don't touch that ish.
No. Oh, fair enough.
I'm just going to say to Karnak, minus L UFS pre-fader, it's minus 18 dBs, minus 18 dBs full scale, but it's 0 VU. So just get a VU meter. In fact, actually, do you know what?
Well, is there like a free VU meter that we can try that isn't that one that didn't work?
There'll be one on the net somewhere.
It's a plug-in Mac Logic Pro X. There we go. TB Pro Audio. I mean, that's the same thing, right?
Yeah, there's not. I mean,
KVR VU Waves VU meter. Best 3 VU meters of 2020. Boom. Here we go.
What's the top one? Waves.
What are VU meters? Go away. Waves.
No.
Go on.
No.
MV free.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking.
But it didn't work. I tried installing it. It didn't work.
Maybe it's because you're not on an Intel Mac.
I am on. I think.
You're Xeon, aren't you?
Intel Xeon. I mean Intel Xeon. Same.
I don't know.
What level meter VU plugin? Okay, so honorable mention Klanghelm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make good products. They make very good products. If there's a free one, grab it real quick, and I'll do a quick demo, and it'll be like.
It's not giving me any links.
Just Google search that one.
Right. That's weird. It's not. There's no links to it. Okay, so this one or the Klanghelm one?
Do the level meter free, as long as it can calibrate. They did that down. Yeah, calibration there in the middle. So RMS -12. So you want it like
Cool.
-18 dBs. So find that one.
Okay, let's
So
try that. Plug in Mac. Okay, that one. No,
LSR.
this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Free download. Boom.
So.
Oh, I have to create an account.
Fuck's sake.
God damn it.
Why can't you just make plugins and give them away like
In it.
hell, man? Like,
Right.
it's so.
OEAQK.
Oh.
Right. Register. Okay. You receive a confirmation email with my password.
No problem. I think we'll probably do a couple of
Password there. Okay.
will this be on YouTube? Not sure. Dom's channel.
Yeah, it stays up. It stays up.
Out of interest, what was the mastering course you took online? I will get the link and I'll put it in, but it's.
You can put it into the chat, and then it will go across all of the.
It's a private one. I'll show you.
Level meter setup DMG. Here we go. Right. License manager. Do I need a license? Have you got a license to play this?
Is it working?
Okay, let's try this. Okay. Level meter set up. Tony from York. Alright, audio unit.
It's Tony. I know it's Tony. I know.
64-bit.
Stressor.
Yeah.
I'll send you a link. It's not letting me put it in the thing for some reason. Is it working?
I'm just trying to see LVL. Let's have a look. LVL does not come up. It's not letting me do it. Hang on.
Let me take control.
Hang on. Let's check in here. No, it's not working. I did that. Look. Drag that in.
Just try
It's
the
not working.
component. Try the 32-bit one as well.
Yeah, none of them are working.
Try dragging it straight to
there.
Boom.
There we go.
Then you have to put your password in.
Yeah. It should have done that anyway. Okay.
Catalina wine mix.
God damn it. Right.
Now you need to restart Logic.
Create Logic. Save.
I can do this within, like, if everybody stays on stream, I'll do a demo of a sine wave and a kick on the master, and it'll be like 5 minutes, and it'll literally give you the theory about it, and then you can do it for yourselves. Because when you the biggest gripe I've got with a lot of dubstep tracks at the moment is the sub is so high, and it doesn't need to be that high. Like, it doesn't need to be that level of volume just because it sounds cool on speakers. Like, in a live environment, the rest of the tune will suffer because you'll need to boost the hi-hats to come through, and that's what I'm talking about in terms of distribution of energy.
What's the name of the thing called?
Was it began with a V or a?
No. Can't remember.
Oh, TSE Audio.
Was that it? No, it wasn't that. Hang on, let's have another look. LSR FM. Lead Student Radio. No, it's not there. Classic.
Just go into your plugin manager. What,
mate? What is wrong with this bloody thing?
I bet you need to restart the whole computer.
Probably. So what? Type meter. Meter. It's not there.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure people get the drift anyway.
Oh man, this is rubbish. Why does it not work?
Yeah, you're
set up. I installed it. License manager. Do I need a license?
Nah, it's a free plugin.
It's a free plugin. So what the hell?
I bet I literally quit Logic and come back out of it. Quit Logic and go back in.
Oh, what, like reinstall it?
No, just quit out of Logic and then go back in. But like,
No, it was that's what I did, and it didn't work. Hang on.
well,
Components. All right, let me try this. Stick the 64 one in. Authenticate. Oh, I did do this 64. Replace.
Have you got Ableton? Because they'll get literally it'll come up in that straight away.
No, I don't. Hang on, let's see this one. I'll do the 32 and the 64. It's got to work with one of them. Maybe the what's it called? The license manager has got maybe I have to create that first as well. I don't know, let's have a look.
Maybe.
License manager.
That's just going to be for paid stuff, isn't it?
Open anyway. Open. License. Product name.
Here we go.
What is it? What's it called?
It's none of those things because you've not bought.
I've not bought any of them. What the hell? Nonsense. Bye-bye. Right, okay, that was a waste of time.
Let's open the padlock and then
I did all of that.
It's closed again.
Okay.
You got to leave it open.
And then open Logic.
And then open Logic and then let it do its little hissy fit. And then you just let it run with it.
It's not
finding
it's not finding any new things though.
Oh well.
I don't get it. Right, LSR FM. It's not there.
Mental.
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Right, well, it might be because I'm streaming at the moment. I don't know why it is. Why it's not letting me.
Maybe I'll use my computer one of these days, and you can share my screen, and then because I've got the workflow on here, I'll just do it on my. But
sure.
Basically, it's really simple. If you've got a sub bass channel, just put the VU meter on it and a gain. Attenuate the gain. Don't touch the fader. Leave it at 0 and then the VU meter needs to be calibrated to -18. Then you need to hit 0 with that, and then leave that. Get your kick. Do exactly the same. Then on the master channel, all you do is this is the important part. So when you've got your mix, you will have changed the volume of your kick and bass to fit with the mix. So then on the master channel, you use the VU meter and you get the kick and you turn up the VU meter so that the kick is hitting -3, and then you mute the kick and then you play the bass, the sub, and you turn the sub up or down to reach -3, and then what you do then is you play them both together and they should hit 0. If they go over 0 by a bit, doesn't really matter because you're still well within the headroom. If it's like a lot, you need to adjust either side chain.
You mean it hits 0 on the VU meter, not on the Logic? Because if you're going over 0 on Logic, then you're in trouble.
Exactly. so then you need to look at either because basically independently, if they're both hitting -3, there's no problem. If they're hitting 0 together, no problem. If they're over 0, there's a frequency masking issue, or there needs to be some side chain or scoop a little bit out so that the kick can sit with the bass, because you need to hit that 0 mark. And I guarantee it, when you play that in a club, people's face will get hit with a kick drum and the bass at the same time, and it'll be like there'll be no disparity in the volume. It'll just be so coherent. Be great. So,
well, that's great. Tip for the day. We haven't managed to master this, but you've got the pre-master, so I'll leave it with you.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to make some artwork and stick it up on Bandcamp.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like another. Yeah, we could be here all day. Maybe we should do one of these like every week or something and just fucking.
Sure. I mean, I'm pretty sporadic with the old conversations, but I do all kinds of streams for stuff.
I've got time.
Yeah.
Lockdown.
That's it, man. Lockdown's basically turned me into a live streaming person.
Well, that's good. As long as you're not trying to do a DJ set and get zucked, it's fine.
My DJing days are over, mate. It's fine. I'll leave it with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Just gonna save this as
well, just save it. It's fine.
hold on. Oh, it's
Don't use plugins. Yeah.
that's better than Kevin Spacey's ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Truck.
Ice cream truck, mate. You should hear it now. Have you heard the latest?
No.
Oh mate, Mikey Backhouse got involved. It's bad. He sent me a sample of a kid being like, "Daddy, Daddy, the ice cream man."
The Epstein VIP.
Mate, yeah. Anyway, on that note, I'll let you get off. Have a good weekend, man.
Right, mate. How do I quit out of everything?
Basically, just end Skype. I'll do the rest.
End Skype, you'll do the rest.
Yeah.
What about the remote desktop thing?
That's fine. I can stop that as well.
All right.
Nice one. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.
Wait. Should plug your Bandcamp. What's your Bandcamp?
J.Sparrow Bandcamp.
.com and Navy Cut.
There's loads of free stuff up there. So if you go to the Bandcamp, there's there's 3 albums over 40 tracks you can download
For free.
Yeah, for free.
Ridiculous.
Or if you want to give me the price of a middle class coffee, that's absolutely fine. Also, chocolate bits on. All right, bye.
Nice one.
Bye.
Take care. Mine is rockspin.bandcamp.com, and I'm not giving anything out for. Actually, I've got a couple of free bits on there. So yeah. All right. Cheers. Bye bye.